What's going on, everybody? And in this week's lesson, we're going to be talking about layering guitar parts to create an overall effective guitar track. And to do that, we're going to check out how Dave Grohl, the man himself, does it to write effective rock songs. All right, so we're going to check out a couple simple parts from times like these and kind of look at what's going on and why he's doing it and how it works. All right, so down in the description below, you can find a link for the tabs and ways to support the channel. And let's jump right in. So we're going to jump to the chorus. We have essentially three chords that are going on. We have C, we have this E minor 7 chord, and we have a D chord. Now we can come up with a different voicing for the D chord depending on how you're playing the song, and we'll check out that in a moment, right? So you have essentially this guitar part. Right? Very simple, straightforward guitar strumming part, right? So how could we layer another part on that to make it more effective and maybe make it a little more musical and bring it to life? So we already talked about, we have the C chord, we have this E minor chord, and we have this D chord. So what we can do in this song, and you'll hear it, is I can take those and basically play little triads or thirds and use open strings to create a secondary guitar part. So instead of the C chord, right, I'm going to play a power chord, but I'm also going to let the third string G ring out open, right? Now, the 5th fret of the D string and the open G string, those are a unison note, right? But because we're fretting a note and we have an open string, we're going to get a nice texture. So anytime you can sneak in unisons as well as open strings into your guitar part, it's going to sound good, especially in areas like this, right? So we can take a 3-5-0 and put the rhythm to and we can put the rhythm to the strum that we were doing, right? Like that. Okay? Now for the E chord, we're going to keep these two notes the same. I'm going to change the bass note. So we're going to play 7 on the fifth string with our ring finger, and now our chord is 7-5 open. Okay, and again, this shape, because it's kind of inverted power chord shape, that's essentially a minor third. Anytime we play that shape, we are playing a minor chord. So we go from E minor here to E minor there, and same rhythm. Very simple. And for the D chord, we're going to shift down the basically 4th position, first finger on 4, middle finger on 5 of the 5th string. And when we do that, we get that really nice common voicing on the guitar, right? And this is the major third shape rather than the minor third shape. So we have this 4th fret F sharp and the open G, and it clashes in such a nice way on the guitar, and you'll hear that voicing in a lot of songs, right? So we can strum those together. Right? Now we're playing the same harmony as the chords that are being strummed, but now if you have 2 guitar players or you're laying down multiple tracks, you can have one that's strumming the chords and the other one that's adding a little sparkle to it, right? And it sounds really good. So now let's jump back to earlier in the song to the verse, right? Because that example was kind of cool. We used power chords, thirds, open strings, a little dissonance, right? This way is a little more straightforward. We're just basically picking out the chords that we're playing, all right? So in the verse, we have D, we have A minor, but we're gonna put our pinky on that high string 3rd fret G, and you get that chord, which is A minor 7, okay? Stepping to the C chord from the 2nd fret B, okay? And then we're gonna go back to that E minor chord that we saw in the other riff. And that's essentially just an E minor chord, open position chord, but we're gonna put 3rd fret on the 2nd string, and that note is D, and you get a nice E minor 7. So you have And so we have a simple strumming part, and we can easily kind of like add some sparkle, bring it to life by just basically picking out those chords. So we can take that D chord, and the way they do it in the song is he puts a little movement on the high string, right? You get a little melody going on. Like that, right? All we're doing is playing that, picking out the D chord and using the open E string. And we're going to follow that pattern through the other chords. Right? And then when we get to the C and the E minor chords, it's more of a... When we get to that funky chord that they use in the song, right? So for the D chord, you pick out open, O, 2, 3, open, and then come back down, second string, third string, and then play the high string 2. Okay? And then for the A minor chord, you're going to play the power chord aspect of it, O, 2, 2, jump to that high string 3, and then pick out 2 and 3, and then change the open. Can't forget about that step up to C from that B note. And there you go, right? Learning from the best. Everything Dave Grohl has touched has turned to gold. We might as well try to get that in our own songwriting. We can take a simple chord progression, right? And then we can either pick out chords to add movement, to add sparkle, some musicality to the part, some life, and or we can take simple power chord shapes, major and minor thirds, and really take advantage of the open string textures that we get to add a nice subtle part to the strum. All right? So down in the description below, you can find a link for all the tabs. And as always, let me know what you come up with. So until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.